Thank you.
Sure.
All right, it is 7 o'clock. It's March 2nd, 2021. It is the City Council meeting. We're going to call it to order. It's National Read Across America Day, so I hope everybody read a book today. We'll start with our roll call. Janet, if you don't mind.
Sure. Councilmember Diaz.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. We have to do the video, don't we? Got to do the video first.
Sure, we can do that.
Let's do the video.
Due to COVID-19, this meeting will be conducted as a Zoom webinar pursuant to the provisions of the Governor's Executive Order N-2920, which suspends certain requirements of the Brown Act. This meeting is being webcast on the City of Clayton's website. The mayor will call upon its council, presenters, staff, and other speakers by name and ask that they speak clearly and state their name before giving comments or remarks. Persons participating via webcast and Zoom with their cameras enabled are reminded that their activities are visible to viewers. Members of the public participating by Zoom wishing to speak should use the raise hand feature or dial *9 and the mayor will call upon them at the appropriate time. Telephone attendees will be called upon by the last 4 digits of their phone number. It is requested that public speakers state their name, but providing such information is voluntary. Written public comments received by Clayton City Clerk by 5 p.m. today will be entered into the record, but will not be read out loud. If authors of the written correspondence would like to speak, they are free to do so and should raise their hand and the mayor will call upon them at the appropriate time. A roll call vote will be taken for all action items. The chat feature is not active. In order to get the full Zoom experience, please make sure your application is up to date.
In order to get the full Zoom experience. There we go. All right. Janet, now you can call the roll.
Okay, Councilmember Diaz. I don't see you, Councilmember Diaz, so I'll move on to Councilmember Tillman.
Present.
Councilmember Juan.
Here.
Vice Mayor Cloven.
I'm here.
Mayor Wolf.
I'm here.
And I don't see Councilmember Diaz, but I know he was just here. So
Was just here. Should we give him a moment to redo? Probably re-upping his connection, or should we just move on and wait till he gets here and then add him to the roll? Why don't we just move on? Oh, actually, he's the next thing up, isn't he? With the Pledge of Allegiance. So let's give Jim a chance to get back in. Talk amongst yourselves. Oh, I see Jim. There he is.
And Councilmember Diaz, are you present?
Yeah, we had a phase out of the Zoom system and the internet, but I'm here.
Okay,
Well,
thank you.
All right, so we are all here, and Jim, you get the Pledge of Allegiance now.
I will do that. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Diaz. Appreciate that. All right, now we're moving on to the consent calendar. Does anybody have anything they want to pull from the consent calendar? Excuse me. Anybody? No. How about, yes, Jim, did you have something?
Well, I just do want to comment. I did have a meeting today with the city manager, and we went over items on the consent calendar, and I want to thank her for the explanation relative to the expenditures from BBK. That's all, but thank you.
Thank you. And does anybody from the public now do we have any hands up with regard to the consent calendar? No? Okay, we'll close that then, and we'll take a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So move, Jim Diaz.
First by Diaz, anybody second?
I'll second.
A second by Tillman and a mute by Cloven. All right, so Janet, please call the vote.
All right. Councilmember Diaz,
Yes.
Councilmember Tillman,
Yes.
Councilmember Juan,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Cloven,
Aye.
and Mayor Wolf.
Yes.
Thank you.
very much. So moved. And now we're going to go on to recognitions and presentations. I don't know if Bob Hoyer is here tonight, but we are going to honor Bob Hoyer and his wife, his late wife, Eldora. And we have a proclamation, and I guess I'll be reading that. Is that right, Raina? I'm the one that's going to read that tonight.
Yes, and I have promoted Bob to panelist. If he has a camera, he's welcome to turn it on. And if he wants to speak afterwards, certainly he can unmute and speak. But
Fantastic.
It's back to you, Mayor Wolf.
Well, thank you. And thanks, Bob, for joining us tonight. Hopefully we can see and hear from you, and we appreciate your being here. So I'm going to read the proclamation for you now. It is proclamation declaring March 11th as Bob and Eldora Hoyer Day. Whereas Robert Bob Hoyer and his wife Eldora built their home in Clayton in 1956 and became leaders in the drive to incorporate Clayton as a city. And whereas Bob became the first mayor of Clayton in 1964 and then again in 1970, serving on the city council until 1980. And whereas Bob was instrumental in helping create our now much traveled award-winning trail system, and whereas Bob and Eldora were part of the committee to create the Clayton Historical Society, chartered in 1976, and whereas Bob, having served on committees including the Grove Park Blue Ribbon Task Force, the Keller Ranch Master Plan Committee, and many, many others, and whereas Bob and his family donated the flagpoles at City Hall, the Grove Park, and the CHS Museum to the city of Clayton, and whereas Bob, celebrating his 100th birthday, continues to be an active force both in and for Clayton, and whereas Bob, with official Clayton Post Office Box #1, remains #1 in our hearts. Now, therefore, I, Carl C.W. Wolf, Mayor, on behalf of the Clayton City Council and community, do hereby thank Robert Bob Hoyer for his leadership and ongoing commitment to the city of Clayton, and recognize his late wife, Eldora, for all her contributions as well, do hereby declare March 11th, 2021, as to be Bob and Eldora Hoyer Day in the city of Clayton, California. And we all wish you a very happy birthday, Bob. Congratulations. Would you like to say anything, Bob? You can unmute yourself or put your video on.
Thank you very much, Carl. I certainly appreciate that. My name is there, but my picture doesn't show up for some reason. But I'm here watching you, and I'm watching the council meeting. And thank you so much for the very, very nice, very great proclamation.
Well, thank you, and thank you to Eldora.
Here I am.
Well. There you are. There you are. Looking good.
Yeah.
What are you, 59 now?
What?
Are you 59 now?
Yeah, right. Oh boy. Well,
Bob, we're honored to have you with us tonight, and I was honored to have you in my mayor's portrait as well. If you get a chance to go by City Hall, you'll get a chance to see Bob there twice. He's
Oh,
there
good.
from 1964 and from
See that? It's
2021.
up and in place, huh?
Pardon me?
It's up and in place.
As far as I know, it is up and in place. Yes, yes. Everybody's
Right.
shaking their heads. I haven't had a chance to get there to see it up and in place yet, but I will.
Mm-hmm.
But it's great that you're able to have your picture up there twice.
Yeah, thank you. If it wasn't for you,
Bob, is it correct that the state of California has granted you a renewal license, driver's license for another 5 years?
yeah, it's good till 1926, Jim.
Woohoo.
I can hang in there.
Well, Bob, you're a great inspiration to all of us. We appreciate your being here. We appreciate you for all you've done for Clayton, and we thank you very much. Does anybody on the council want to address Bob at all before we let him go?
Bob is a very, not only has he done all those things that you mentioned, but he's also an aficionado of music. And I'm the recipient of 2 of the CDs that he created that have some great music from the 40s and the 50s. And Bob, I listen to them every now and then, and they're very pleasurable to listen to. And I, again, thank you for that. And I'll look forward to seeing you around town.
Okay, Jim, thank you.
I just want to jump in and say happy early birthday and thank you for all of your wisdom and your encouragement for running for city council this last year. And I have to say, it gives me great respect, first of all, but joy to let everybody on the call know that as somebody who's going to turn 100 years old, who saw a lot of change in this town, I'm glad to hear that you actually embrace change and are actually okay with things changing and moving forward. So thank you.
Right, thank you, Holly. I do embrace change. Things can't stay the same.
Well said.
Otherwise, we don't still only have 1,000 people here in Clayton, you know, instead of 11,000.
I agree.
Yeah.
Probably should have. We probably should have, instead of having a day for Bob, we should have had an official parking space designated downtown for the giant Cadillac.
Yeah. And it needs a lot of space.
It needs a lot of space. That it does.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Bob. Hey, and everybody look for Bob on the Today Show on next Thursday morning, where his congratulations for his birthday.
Okay, thank you very much,
Bob,
everybody.
Bob, this is Laura Hoffmeister. Since our offices are closed to the public right now, we're still not in red. I will take a photo of the pictures that are hanging up and email them to you.
Say that again, Laura.
Yeah, I will take a photograph of the pictures that are hanging here at City Hall and email it to you since our offices are
Oh, very
closed right
nice.
now.
Thank you, Laura.
Well, thank you, Bob. Happy birthday. Mwah.
Good, thank you.
We'll see you next Thursday.
Right, next Thursday.
Take
Big
care.
day. Okay,
Thank you, Bob.
Carl, thank you.
All right. Bob Hoyer. Yay, Bob Hoyer. All right. We're moving on from our recognitions and presentations to our reports. Planning Commission report from February 23rd. I don't know who's giving that report tonight. It looks like AJ. Okay, AJ's doing it.
If it isn't the chair, he may let us know and I will let someone else in, but I believe he was the backup for the report this.
Oh, wait a minute.
It's not AJ.
Wait a minute. It's an imposter. Who is that?
Well, sorry about that, but this is a brand new computer and AJ sent me his link to log in because I couldn't find my own link. So I can't hide the accent. So I am not AJ. So.
All right. Commissioner Altwell, it's your stage.
Well, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council members. On the 23rd of February, the Planning Commission met to look at one major item, which was a continuing item from a previous meeting. I think the previous meeting was on December 8th. And that is the Oak Creek Canyon project. And 4 commissioners participated in the review of the project. Commissioner Gavidia had a conflict and did not participate. The proposed project includes a vesting tentative subdivision map, initial study, negative declaration, a tentative vesting map, general plan map amendment, amendment to the specific Marsh Creek Road map, and rezone and development plan permits, and the tree removal permits. The discussion on this project went for over 3.5 hours, and the commissioners at the end voted 4-0 to deny the project as presented. Reasons for denial were sent to Director Fiske, and he could share it with the City Council if you guys requested. That was the only item discussed on the only major item discussed on the agenda, and that actually concludes the Planning Commission report.
Thank you, Commissioner Altwell. Anybody have any questions and comments for Commissioner?
Yeah, I do. I want
Yes,
to
sir.
thank you for your report, Commissioner Altwald. Tell me this. In your view, are things moving ahead well with the Planning Commission, and particularly dealing with the day-to-day issues that come before the commission?
Day-to-day issues, I'm not sure what that means, but things are moving
What it
ahead.
means is, what about before each meeting? You have a couple of meetings a month in many cases. Are things progressing well at the commission level, in your view?
Yeah, they are progressing well. Recently, we just get tons of documents to go through, and that's time consuming. Like this project was 686 pages that we went through it twice, on December and right now. But things are progressing, and the commissioners are actually doing their deep studies, asking good questions, and if you ever watch the video, I'm sure it's never easy to face the commission, because we do ask questions. We do ask lots of questions.
Yeah, no, I don't watch the videos so that it doesn't affect anything that may come to the city council. How about administratively? I know that at the last meeting, a number of your vice chair reported out that a number of minutes were approved, and I gather they have been approved. Is that correct? That's now we're up to date on the approval of minutes, because those are very integral in terms of making sure the business of the commission and the city move forward.
They have been approved by a vote of 3-1.
3-1. Okay.
Yeah, Commissioner Miller was not on board yet.
Oh,
so he
yeah.
couldn't
Okay,
vote.
I got that. All right. So, but anyway, so now we're hopefully up to date on the commission minutes. Is that your understanding?
I think so. I think we are up to date. The last minutes we approved was February 9th. And then after that, we had the meeting of the February 23rd that I'm reporting on right now. I think we are on. I think we are on schedule with the approval of the minutes.
Last question: in your view, does the commission recognize and understand the role of the Planning Commission in relationship to the City Council? That's primarily approving such matters as that come before you, like room additions and those other things, and some of the preliminary steps in a project's life come before the commission after they get through the staff. How about other matters, and specifically ones that may roll over into more of a policy nature as opposed to the day-to-day function of the Planning Commission?
Well, we had that discussion. I personally, we've been giving the option to suggest any items that it's actually in every meeting's agenda if we need to suggest items. So we did. Commissioner Vice Chair Denslow and we suggested items that it looked like, or apparently it looked like to the City Council as policy. No one intended for it to be a policy. And
Okay.
it was cleared in our meeting, and we were only following the directions that if the Planning Commission has anything to suggest for the City Council. In all honesty, there's no more suggestion anymore because we don't know which is policy, which is not policy, and who's looking at what. So that might be a misunderstanding.
Okay.
But there was no intention of suggesting any kind of policies because we don't do
Great.
policies.
Thank you very much for your report, and we look for more progress. I do, more progress coming from the Planning Commission. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you, Commissioner Altwell. Appreciate that. All right, moving on now to Trails and Landscape. No meeting was held, excuse me, and now City Manager and staff report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Sorry, I was trying to do Zoom tasks at the same time. I apologize for that. I think I'll just follow up on the ever popular topic of when do we get out of purple. Some of us like purple very much as a color, but not as a tier. And we saw that several counties today in the Bay Area were able to move from the purple tier to the red tier. Contra Costa was not one of them, although Contra Costa's numbers do continue to get substantially better. There is only one of the three measures in the tier system that the county is still behind on, and that's a cases per 100,000, but we're getting very close to that number. So I would hope, barring any spring break bounce in numbers, that within the next couple of weeks, we might be moving back into the red tier. Once we are back in the red tier, we will put together a plan for reopening City Hall on a phased basis so that we can start to have some public back in the building, but in a way that maintains all of the safety protocols. And for now, we will continue with all of our virtual meetings rather than in-person meetings. And that is really about all that I have under general reports. We have a couple of items I'll be speaking to once we get to the action agenda.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I do. Following up on the issue of the ever-changing tier color system. So it appears that we are headed from purple to red, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
there are three measures, and two of our three are within the criteria. One is still without, so we're probably
Right.
2 weeks out, maybe.
Yeah, and with what appears to be happening with the vaccine issues, where more and more people are getting vaccinated, and I gather now that a third vaccine has been approved federally, that'll start moving things forward even more quickly, and possibly there'll be a reduction in the age of now 65 to something lower than that for most adults to get the vaccination, which then, at least from what I'm trying to see, is when we might move from red back to orange. And that's, I know you can't predict that, but I want to, you see this, I know, put your guru hat on and see if, you're talking with the city managers on a regular basis. You're also getting input from the county, which seem to, control all of that. What are they sort of indicating?
So it's been about a month since we heard from Dr. Farnatano, the county public health officer, and we will actually have an update coming from him again this coming Thursday, so just in 2 days. When we spoke about a month ago, he was definitely in that it's going to get worse before it gets better mode. What I expect to hear from him in 2 days is, oh, it finally seems to be getting better. But I think he will probably sound the same caution that you've heard from Dr. Anthony Fauci and some of the other CDC spokespeople, which is just, don't rush, because we want to make sure that we phase in any looser restrictions so that we don't cause an inadvertent spike. I do think that we'll see more vaccinations, but I think, we're months away from really much in the way of significant gatherings of any sort. So we'll all know more by the next meeting, hopefully based on what Dr. Farnatano says on Thursday of this week.
Yeah, and I gather as well, the religious community is seeing a small relaxation in that they're allowing to have more in church services and so forth like that on a limited basis. So that's starting to see a little bit of improvement there. So anyway, I just wanted to see if they, were even giving a hint of, positive direction out in the future. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Raina. All right, City Council reports. Jim?
Okay, I'm ready.
All right.
Okay, been a little bit busy, and on the 25th, I particularly had a meeting with the chief of police anticipating of that later day meeting of the Public Safety Committee, which we then held at 6:30 on the 25th. It was a very well attended meeting in terms of the residents up in Keelock and Keller Ridge. And in fact, I want to first compliment the chief and Sergeant Jason Shaw on the presentation that was put together. And I'm sure that Councilmember Tillman can elaborate on that as well from her perspective. But it showed that there were some things that could be accomplished, that we don't need to bring the whole issue back to the city council, due to the fact that the items that can be addressed that can satisfy a number of the concerns up there can be handled under the current authority of the chief and the city manager, which I think will help continue to improve the situation. Already they're seeing fewer citations because people, I think, are finally getting the message that going up at the end of Keelock and parking in that red area is not acceptable. And we have two very, very good leaders from up there, both Letty Hernandez Southwick and Mary McCarthy, who have participated very effectively in that group, representing the majority of the people, going out and polling and getting people to sign a petition that is over 70% subscribed to, that really provides some good direction and good support for the things that we've done and will continue to do. So that was very well, and I'll let, when Councilmember Tillman comes up, she can elaborate further on that. One final thing, today I met, again, like I said, with the city manager. We went over our usual pre-city council meeting work, and again, she, as I mentioned before, she gave a real good explanation of what was going on why BBK, our law firm, expenses were starting to inch up a little bit. And it was mainly for a couple of projects, Olivia project and one other one, but a good understanding of what was going on. And finally, this afternoon, I attended, on behalf of all of us, the retirement event for Officer Alan Pike. Alan retired today, effective at 4 p.m. He's now heading out of town. I think he's going to go to Maryland, but he put in a good 15, 16 years here in Clayton, was probably one of the better known officers, particularly with him going to the elementary school and making presentations there to answer questions for not only the children there, but also for the staff and the management of the school itself. So his expertise is going to be hard to fill. He was, in addition to being a very well-known and effective patrol officer, he was pretty much our primary investigation individual, that when there was a issue that came up that needed some expertise and further investigative work, Alan filled in that void and represented the department very well. And so we need to wish him well, and he's off to his next phase in life. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilmember Diaz. Councilmember Tillman. Surprise.
Sorry, you did it because you saw me swallow water. Sorry. Sorry. Okay, so I will go in order, starting with the 18th of February. I attended the Budget and Audit Subcommittee meeting with Councilmember Juan. You'll see that presentation tonight. On the 19th, I attended a congressional leadership meeting that was led by Congressman DeSaulnier, and was he was joined by other Congress people from, I believe it was Michigan, and then another council member from California as well, just to give us an update on some of the legislation that they're passing or trying to pass at the House, and more to come as soon as I learn some more details on that and whether or not it's going to go through. On the 24th, I attended the youth forum with the group that I've been mentioning to you guys for several weeks now, and that was local high schoolers as well as college students who either live in Clayton or attend some of the schools that are in the area. And it was really informative to hear from the youth on the effects of COVID that it's had on them and their mental health, as far as them not being able to go to school, their parents losing their jobs, excuse me, losing their jobs and losing their health care, et cetera. They gave a lot of insight on how that's affecting them, as well as the politics surrounding that. And it was very informative for me to actually hear from a panel of about, I think it was about 8 to 10 students from both sides of the political spectrum, just to actually hear them have like a real debate and be civil about it. It was refreshing to hear and for them to learn from each other and to feed off of that and piggyback off each other, just to realize, oh, I can actually hear another side of something without getting angry. So the youth shall lead us. I encourage you guys to actually go and watch that if you can at your leisure. The link is on my Facebook page and on my link tree. So that was on the 24th. On the 25th, I attended the harassment, the mandatory harassment training that we all have to take. And that was given through Cal Cities. You can hear more about that from the mayor and the vice mayor. I also did all of my other, completed all my other mandatory trainings that I had to get done, such as AB 1234, the harassment, the Brown Act, et cetera. I also attended several meetings with staff and the chief, so with Raina and the chief, as well as Sergeant Shaw, and had our public safety committee meeting that evening on the 25th. And lots of emails and phone calls, et cetera, regarding school reopenings and the like, as well as several things that are going on here in town. And then just to piggyback off of what Councilmember Diaz was mentioning about the Public Safety Committee, some of the things that the petition had on it were keeping the red curb red. They asked for that to happen, and they asked for us to install a brighter light on the light pole that's there. So they're taking a little bit of input from the residents. I believe Letty Smithwick is going to get the chief one of the ones that her contact at PG&E suggests to have brighter light there so that it deters people from coming. There was a request for us to put a trash can at the trailhead, but I believe that they were deterred by Raina on doing that, Raina had actually said that she'll have her maintenance staff do a sweep earlier in the mornings after the weekends, because I believe they're going up there now on Monday mornings and on Fridays. She's going to have them go up there earlier because the residents had complained that even though it looks better to us or to the maintenance staff eyes, it's because about 10 residents are actually picking up all of the debris. So they had asked if we could put a trash can, and as Raina told them, if you put a trash can there, it will actually attract more trash. So they would like not to have to do that. So the goal is to have staff do earlier sweeps in the morning, or have the officers, if they're out there citing people in the middle of the night, contact her to let her know, hey, we actually see some stuff. Can you send the guys out even earlier? So those types of things can be mitigated through funds that we actually have access to, and it doesn't require a full presentation to the council again. So I concur and thank the chief and Sergeant Shaw, as well as City Manager Schwartz, for all of their efforts on all of that. And I will stop there so that we're not here all night. Thanks.
You sure you don't want to go on?
I'm positive.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
Thank you very much. All right. Councilmember Juan?
Yeah, thank you. So again, as Councilmember Tillman mentioned, we had a budget subcommittee meeting, and we'll see the results of that later today or later this evening. Regular emails, I think today there were a number of emails regarding the proposed church project near the elementary school. I think it may be helpful for staff to report out on the status of that and the regular process. So if there can be like an update of the overall process, what people should expect as the proposal moves through the project pipeline, I think that could help clarify what is coming and, and ways that people could get involved. I think that'd be good to do. And then, as Holly mentioned, there's a number of communications around schools. And, a little while ago, one of my kids asked me if I was going to say anything about the schools not being open. And, I had explained that that's really an issue outside of the jurisdiction of the city. It's really a matter for the school district and the school board. But, it's great because, my kid reminded me, he said that, even though it's not part of the city, it's an issue that is of interest to our community and that I should say something on their behalf. So I will say that, I've looked through the last couple school board meetings, and I have to say that if anything is on the agenda, if anything that they have is on the agenda that isn't related to opening schools as fast as possible, then they are doing it wrong. This has been essentially a failure from top to bottom, and those in leadership positions have forgotten their primary duty, which is to educate our kids. From the state level, where teachers have just recently been able to get vaccinated, why they weren't on the list in the first place is mind-boggling to me. To the school district, who's unable to do the right thing and stand up for our students, to the union, who's capitalizing on the national travesty to further their own ends. I mean, recently there was a survey asking MDUSD families what their preference was to return. The district is trying to take the results of the survey, about 50-50 split between returning in a hybrid model or full distance learning. They're using this survey to try and make it mean something. But the survey ultimately was a sham. It asked a question, but the choices were abysmal. The only options offered were either full distance learning or 2 days per week, 2 hours per day in the afternoon, and only for support rather than actual instruction. This is an insult to working parents. And to tout those results as something indicative of parents' desire to maintain full-time distance learning is, I will say it, to be generous, it is disingenuous. The district should be ashamed. I've looked at the demands put out by the teachers union, the local one that we have, the MDEA. It's very strange. They are more restrictive than anywhere else. They demand that the case rate be measured not by county, but by city. And that to have kids back in the classroom, that the rate be no greater than 7 per 100,000, rather than the 25 per 100,000 put out by state health officials. So if you think of that, Clayton has 11,000 people, which means to meet that requirement, our case rate needs to be 0. I don't know which medical school that the teachers union went to, but to presume that they are in a better position to determine medical safety than the CDC or state and local health officials, that's absurd. The more things open up, it's a given that the chance of people getting sick increases. And no risk can be mitigated to 0 though. And while that potential risk increases, we do know, as I mentioned, the actual negative impact that distance learning is having on our students' education, the socialization, and their mental health is real, and it's happening right now. So if this is your school board, and if you're listening, I would say send a message loud and often that their actions are unacceptable. They work for us. Fire them, recall them, and don't ever vote for them again. If this is your union, send a message loud and often that their actions are unacceptable. Remember, if you're a member, you don't have to pay the dues. You do not have to be a member of an organization engaging in activities that you do not support. In 2018, the United States Supreme Court held in Janus that compelling public sector employees, like teachers, to be a member of a union they don't wish to belong to, or to pay dues or agency fees against their will, that's unconstitutional. The district has raised the alarm that 1,000 out of their 29,000 students have left the district. But if this is the course of action that's being pursued by the MDEA, I would hope to see an even greater exodus from their ranks as well. Kids belong in school. That's the end of my comments.
Thank you. Peter.
Greetings. So as you've heard, I finished, and so did Holly, our training. It's been a long trip, but we took 10 hours of training in the past 2 weeks, 6 of it in BPK online videos, and 4 additional hours at 2 different times in ethics and harassment. So we're pretty well trained. I think we're ready to go. In addition to that, I have been onboarding with my new committee assignments. I am on a TransPAC board member representing Clayton. And so I finally figured out what TransPAC is and how it relates to Clayton and who we are and what we are involved with. That's exciting. But now I'm also a member of the Contra Costa County Transit Authority. And I've also been onboarding with the Contra Costa County Hazardous Materials Commission, which is something that speaks to me because that's my background in my training in my career. I did attend the CBCA meeting on Thursday night, February 25th. And the biggest takeaway from that is, hey, bocce's coming back. And I'm excited about that. Both my team's captains, my capos, got back to me and say bocce's coming, and we're just can't wait to get back and do that. I know that Mayor Wolf was working with the principals and getting Do the Right Thing going. I'm looking forward to conversing with them. But one of the things we're going to be talking about tonight is SB 9. And I just want to know that I heard loud and clear during the campaign process that one of the things that's expected of us as city council members is to talk to people outside of our own city. And it was very clear we need to network and talk to people outside of our own city. And so I do that. I have friends who are electeds and appointeds in the city of Dana Point, San Juan Capistrano, city of Pasadena, San Leandro. Plus, I know local electeds in Clayton, in Concord, and in Pleasant Hill. And I've been talking to them specifically about this SB 9, as well as its relationship to other organizations which we are involved with, specifically Cal Cities, which we are members of, who helped us put forth, which we're talking about tonight. But I've also been talking about the other organization, which is official but unofficial, which is Livable California, and what their relationship to that is, and tonight's legislation and conversation. I just wanted the city to know, who is listening, that we are working across lines and talking to other cities, because we all are in this together, fighting with the challenges that small cities have relative to keeping local control. Lastly, I've got my eye down the road. I'm looking ahead, not necessarily forward, but ahead to what's coming on with the downtown relative to conversations about the use of the parcel downtown, as well as how we're going to meet our RENA numbers, 570 or 590, those 2 numbers are being thrown out there, and what that means and how we're going to place that, or if we don't, what that looks like relative to how we're going to pay for not placing that. So I just know that I'm already putting my head towards the next 2 or 3 years as we look at those obligations or situations in the city. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Peter. Okay. All right. So for me, first of all, I want to echo Jim's thanks to Officer Pike, who spent many years in Clayton and was, as Jim said, beloved by not only the grade school, the elementary school, but also the middle school. In fact, Principal Fong sent me a note today saying he was completely shocked because the kids love him there, love Officer Pike. So I want to thank him for his service to Clayton many years. Okay, I gave a speech to the Clayton Valley Sunrise Rotary. I know Raina did that the week before I did, and then I got a chance to do it. They're a great group and a great group of volunteers and still working very hard. and they get up very early in the morning still to do their Zoom meetings. That's why they call them Sunrise Rotary. Good group. Took the ethics and harassment certification training over a couple of weeks. And let's see, what else? I got a chance to read a story to the Mount Diablo Elementary students via online, and I think that's going to be posted very shortly, so that was fun. And speaking of Purple Tear, I read Mr. Pine's Purple House. Well, it was kind of coincident. So anyway, so a shout out to everybody at Miss Sanchez's, our new principal there at Mount Diablo Elementary. I'm working with the Memorial Day Committee, and I have another meeting with them with regard to what we're going to be doing for the memorial celebration downtown. I know they do want to have one, so we're going to work on that. Worked with, got a chance to review the safety plan of Mount Diablo, about the Diablo Middle School. Got to look at their safety plan. I also gave a report to the CBCA. And I had a meeting with our surrounding mayors of our surrounding cities of Concord, Pleasant Hill, and Walnut Creek, with the superintendent of Mount Diablo Unified School District and the president of that as well. We got a chance to talk about getting our kids back to school. I'd be interested to hear from both Councilmember Juan and Councilmember Tillman with regard to who they've spoken to and how that's worked out. But I got a chance to hear directly from Dr. Clark. He gave us quite a spiel with regard to collective bargaining that's going on and the troubles that they're having there. I think the misinformation that's going on out there is that they don't have a plan. Once the red tier happens and once their collective bargaining work out, they do have a plan in place. And so the mayors and I were very much into getting these people to come to the city council to give us a presentation of some sort, to hear it right from the horse's mouth. I know I said this last time, but we want the public to be able to question the school district as well. So we're giving them that opportunity, and Dr. Clark has accepted that, and he will be getting on our schedules at the various city councils around the 4 cities. So I look forward to hearing that. I also communicated with a couple of citizens with regards to this and that meeting as well, to give them a heads up on what I would be reporting out tonight. And I have yet to hear back from a couple of citizens. One in particular I did hear back from, and hopefully he's watching tonight. And then during that meeting, or right after that meeting, I got a chance to talk to the mayors with regard to SB 9. I don't know we'll be talking about that today, but I did have a chance to meet with them to find out where their head is at, how they want to proceed with their cities and what they're going to be doing. And so when we get into this discussion, I'll be able to fill you in a little bit more on our SB 9 discussion. Let me see if there's anything else real quick here. I think that will be my report for today. Okay, so that is all. Now we're going to move on to our public comment on non-agenda items. You have 3 minutes if you'd like to talk to us about anything that is not on the agenda. We'll put up the timer and you'll be able to have 3 minutes to speak your piece. And Janet, do we have anyone in the queue?
Mayor Wolf, I do not. Oh, I have one hand just raised from Michael Lewis. Oh, actually, he just went away, and I have Gary Hood. So Gary Hood, I'm going to promote you to panelist. If you can please unmute your microphone.
Think I did that correctly?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Good evening, Council. Good evening, Council. Gary Hood, 1301 Easley Drive, Clayton, 40-year resident of Clayton. Anyhow, I wanted to make a few comments on about 3 items tonight. I'm hoping that we can see some action on these items in some fashion. I walk the city almost every day with my dogs, and my first concern is the landscaping. As you know, if you check your tax bill, you pay $266.46 per year. I'd like to know where all the money is and why it's not being used. And the question really is, if your landscaper gardener didn't show up Would you pay him or her? Of course you wouldn't. They didn't do the work. If you walk through the town, the weeds, the bushes, the trees all around town are really out of control. The lawns in the grove, they look terrible. Nothing is trimmed correctly. Bushes are at different heights and the islands are bare. I just can't tell you how many sprinkler heads I counted with no shrubs around them. I would rate Clayton's landscaping a 3 or 4, and I would give Concord a solid 8. I just don't know why we're having such a hard time. Last year, the members of the Garden Club maintained the rose bushes in the islands. I'm not sure why they even did that. I'm sure they volunteered. My suggestion, maybe we outsource this. A comment from the last meeting, somebody, I don't remember, I didn't go back and listen to it, but somebody mentioned that we had an arborist on board to check our trees on an annual basis. I really, truly think that statement was false and misleading. And it seemed to be your basis for denying the residents' claim for the damage caused by the fallen tree. I would like to suggest that the claim be revisited and paid due to the city's negligence in not performing these inspections. If the inspections were done, I would like to see such reports. Financial reports, the financial report for the city comment that I have is pretty simple. We reported $290,000 surplus for finance for this fiscal year 2020. I was kind of surprised that the mayor and vice mayor didn't question where the surplus came from. As a business owner myself in the private sector, I sure would like to know where the additional source of income came from, so maybe we could repeat that. Based on that, I would like to suggest that we use that money. If you took that, I'm hearing something beep. If you took that money,
that's a 30-second warning.
Oh, sorry about that. If you took that money and you added it to the money that we paid to our past city manager, Connie, which was here 4 months, we did a $200,000 buyout. That's $500,000. I'd like to see that increase go towards to hiring more police officers and possible a pay increase when they're up for renegotiation of June of 2021. As you know, crime is increasing. We had a robbery at CVS, catalytic converters being stolen. Now we have homeless in Diamond Terrace. And I would really like to know what the council can do to help the citizens with all these situations. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. You too. Janet, we have anyone else?
Mayor Wolf, our next speaker is Michael Lewis. Michael Lewis, if you can please unmute your microphone and you'll be promoted to panelist shortly.
Can you guys hear me okay?
We can. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Council members, I know at this time the city is setting the budget and you guys are having numerous budget meetings. And I know that every effort to use budgeted funds effectively is at the top of the agenda, if I'm correct. I would like to ask if recently there's been a detailed analytical report that identifies all the calls taken for Clayton PD when the police officers needed to build a statute of where the bulk of the calls are, what time of the day, what time of the evening. With this data, they could identify whether the shifts are properly loaded at the times the services are actually needed. So you're not having stagnant officers on patrol. Additionally, I would like to know if you guys have evaluated to outsource the police services to Contra Costa County Sheriff by any means. They do this for other municipalities in the local area, and it may provide a cost savings to the city of Clayton, which would be able to take those funds and use them elsewhere within the city. Landscaping, whatnot, could be decided by the council. I am sure the Contra Costa County Sheriff could give a cost to cover police services for the city of Clayton from the reports that are derived from the data. They're already in the area taking care of the county areas that are not covered by Clayton PD. For instance, Marsh Creek Road, Diablo Downs. So they're in and out of the area currently already. as you know, the police department takes a huge chunk of the cash for the budget for the city of Clayton. 51 to 52%, if I'm not mistaken. Any of the savings could be utilized back within the city to be used for other purposes. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Janet, do we have anyone else? Excuse me.
Mayor Wolf, I have Dee Vieira, which I will go ahead and promote now. Dee, if you can please unmute your microphone.
I'm sorry, Dee, your time's up. Is she there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Hi.
Hi. First and foremost, I'd like to wish Bob Hoyer a happy birthday and to thank him for everything that he has done. Regarding the past public comments from Jenny Ye on the cultivating outdoor marijuana in Clayton, I wanted to express some support to have the city of Clayton open up a discussion for cultivating 6 medical marijuana plants in the backyards of single-family homes. The state of California approved Prop 64 back in 2016, and the state law allows for 6 plants to be grown indoors, and cities cannot alter that. However, the law also allows cities to decide whether residents can grow 6 plants outdoors. Other neighboring cities have approved this use with some rules to abide by that seem reasonable. I don't think Jenny is asking the city to do anything above the law. She would like to open up a conversation to consider growing 6 plants on personal property in Clayton. So some things to consider. Could the city open up the discussion? There's no harm in talking about it. Would the city feel better if the outdoor plants were grown in a hothouse environment? Could the city share their concerns or fears of growing 6 outdoor plants? Could we hear from the residents on their thoughts and what are their concerns? Could we look at this discussion as an opportunity to educate ourselves on the medicinal use of marijuana? I would like to recommend, if this discussion comes to fruition, that the residents get a doctor or an expert on the medicinal use of marijuana and share their knowledge with us. I am not an expert on marijuana, nor do I use it, but I do know family members and close friends who do use marijuana for pain management, and it is a safe organic treatment as opposed to using opiates. The rising cost of pain medications are out of reach for many people. So cultivating 6 outdoor plants on personal property seems reasonable for me, for folks who need to manage their pain for a fraction of what it would cost them to get prescription pain medications. I think it's okay to talk about this. I'm sure we can come up with a solution. You do have people who live here who depend on the medicinal use of marijuana. Thank you.
Thank you, Dee. Janet, anybody else in the queue?
I have Douglas next. I will go ahead and promote him to panelist. Douglas, if you can please unmute your microphone. And Douglas, I have you as a panelist. If you can please unmute your microphone.
Come on, Doug. You're on mute. Do we have anybody else in the queue, Janet?
Mayor Wolf, I do not have anybody else in the queue at this time.
All right, we'll give Douglas a few more moments. And he's unmuted on your end, right?
Wait, is that
Oh,
it?
there he is.
Okay, I'm new to this.
Well, welcome.
Yeah, okay, I don't know what else I can do, but
You're good. You're good.
okay, well, I cannot hear you, but my name is Douglas Younghans. I live in Clayton for the last 25 years at Panadero Way. And I'm a cancer survivor. 3 years ago, I had stage 4, inoperable, you're gonna die in 2 to 4 to 6 months cancer. Well, with Keytruda, it's immunotherapy, and marijuana, CBD oil, and other extracts from the pot plants themselves. It helped, and I survived that. My problem right now is I have cancer again and it's not looking so good. I really would like the people to consider letting me grow my own medicine because I'm on a fixed income. I'm 69 years old and believe it or not, it is a good medicine and it can keep you alive. I am proof. So I see absolutely no reason at all why we can't grow some pot in the backyard. And it's out of sight, out of mind for everybody. I mean, why can't we do this here in Clayton when all the other cities around us are doing the same? So I'd like you to consider that, please. And I'm going to follow this very closely. I helped pass out some, can't think, I'm sorry. I helped pass out some, anyway, some papers and people signed them, petitions. And I've only gotten 2 replies back from the city council. And apparently the other 4 members never read them because I never got a read receipt. So are you folks for us people that live in Clayton and the people, and there's many of us who are sick and need this medicine. Are you for or against this? That's all I have to say right now.
Thank you, Douglas. I'm wishing you all the best. And Janet, you say there's no one else, or has anyone raised their hands since?
Mayor Wolf, I do have Michael Lewis who re-raised his hand, but he's already spoken on this non-agenda item.
I think he had like 17 seconds left. So.
Okay.
I think the proposal, I think, a lot of the comments were around medical use, but, the proposals that we've seen, the law doesn't require medical use at this point in time. So it's really, if you want to, it's for recreational or any use you really want, just to clarify.
Right, and you can go in your house up to 6 plants. All right, so we're going to close the public comment now and move on. Thank you all for chiming in. All right, public hearings, we don't have any, and now we'll move on to our action items. A is fiscal year 2021 mid-year budget review, and that will be our finance director will be taking that. Matt?
Actually, I will kick that off as your city manager, and then we will turn it over to Paul Rodriguez, our finance director.
Sorry, finance manager. Okay.
Thought I would slip that in there.
I just Matt there. He is right below me.
We will have a brief presentation for you, as was mentioned during some of the council reports. The Budget and Audit Committee met on this on February 18th and recommended that it come forward to the council. There are a number of recommended adjustments to the budget. So this is for our current fiscal year, which started July 1st and goes through, last July 1st goes through this coming June 30th. Halfway through the year, by the end of December, we look at the numbers after that period of time is closed and see basically, are we on track? Are we not on track for the current fiscal year? So there are some changes recommended for the general fund, but also for a couple of the special funds, as well as a request for 2 allocations from the rainy day fund. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Paul Rodriguez, the finance director. He'll make a presentation. We have a little portions of it that we'll both talk about. And then obviously we'll be available for any questions. So with that, Paul, if you want to kick it off.
Thanks very much, Raina. And again, good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. As you're aware, tonight staff is presenting the 2021 mid-year budget review, and staff has 2 recommendations for the council. Number 1, to adopt the attached resolution amending the fiscal year budget of the City of Clayton for mid-year adjustments in the general fund, the newly established rainy day fund, the capital equipment replacement fund, and the 2 gas tax funds, HUDA and RMRA, as well as one final fund, the capital improvement fund. The second recommendation is just kind of a housekeeping measure, is to attach to adopt the attached resolution approving the 2021 city employee salary schedule, which is what wasn't done with the budget at time of approval last June because it hadn't been finalized by the former interim city manager. So as you're aware, following a public hearing on June 30th, 2020, the city's budget for the fiscal year 2021 was adopted by the city council. And the adopted budget for the city's general fund had a very slight operating surplus of about $400. It's actually $425. And so as Raina has mentioned, what staff does at this point in the mid-year process is to take a look at how we are expenditure and revenue wise through December 31st and project that out to see how it looks for the rest of the year. It's not just it's just not a, you can't just annualize the numbers. Certain revenues come in maybe twice a year, certain expenditures come in 12 times a year, but others are spent once or twice. So staff, along with the city manager, spent a lot of time in analyzing these revenues and expenditures, and then brought before the audit and budget subcommittee on February 18th, this very report which we reviewed for the mid-year budget. We just want to say that you have a great subcommittee. It's great to have two distinct voices. One that is very technical, CPA. So he and I kind of speak the same language, but on the other hand, it's also great to have Councilmember Tillman on board as well, because she brings probably the point of view that most people have. That's a non-accountant view and asks a lot of great questions. So I appreciate that. The subcommittee unanimously recommended forwarding this 2021 mid-year budget review to the City Council for formal action. So if we go to, and essentially I'm happy to say, and we're going to focus a lot on the general fund tonight because that's where most of the revenues and expenditures in the city are they're in the general fund. But if we start out with the attachment 3. Were you going to do, Raina?
I am. I had forgotten about that, so I'm bringing it up now, and it will be on the screen momentarily. Thank you.
Sorry.
No problem. You start talking, I'll bring it up.
So essentially, we have a really nice variance with regards to sales tax revenues, about $89,000 to the good. And I'll talk about that just in a moment, but that's counteracted somewhat by a decrease in other general fund revenues. You know, for example, park use fees and the like that are affected detrimentally by the COVID pandemic. On the flip side of that, sales tax revenues, and we just don't have enough information at this point to know how much of it. There's two general factors that have boosted the city's sales tax revenues, and one is what was known as a Wayfair decision, where the city's getting a percentage of the online sales that are attributable to the city of Clayton, and it comes from the county pool, and that's also there's also increased sales tax revenues for online purchases during the COVID pandemic. And so we're not sure, and our sales tax consultant is still analyzing how much of this bump is going to be permanent due to the Wayfair decision, and then really how much is, you know, people's behaviors over this past year have changed, and how much of those behaviors are going to stay the same. In other words, are people going to continue to buy online at the rate that they're doing now during the pandemic? So anyway, the net general fund revenue after the sales tax and other revenues are netted out, we're about $43,000 over what we were projecting for the year. So then, Raina, if you could pop on over to slide number or attachment number 5, or this is fine. Essentially, well, I'm going to stop right here for a second. Even with our recommended general fund expenditures that I'm going to talk about here in just a moment, you look at our expenditures, we're coming in right on schedule. So things look really good. We're not, and really, I want to talk about the general fund as a whole. There's some variances throughout the departments, but we purposefully took a look at the general fund as a whole. And we're right on, we have a positive variance of about $9,700 of expenditures under. We were budgeting for $4,844,000, and we're getting about spending about $834,000, so about $10,000 less than we budgeted. If you can go over to attachment 5, Raina. So we did have a number of expenditures though that are over, and I'm going to put those in the category of a one-time expenditure and versus some other expenditures that we're going to cover, recommend you to cover through the revenue surplus. We have about $34,000. You look over to the far right of expenditures that weren't included in the budget. So I want to harken back just for a second to that 40 being over by about $43,000. We're going to cover that overage in these expenditures with the revenue surplus. And then there was what we would consider to be a one-time cost, and that's the completion of the prior city manager's contractual obligation, about $119,000. And we're recommending that be covered out of the newly established rainy day fund. And I believe Raina is going to talk about the rainy day fund here in a little bit as well. As you can see, the other items are covered. An unbudgeted portion of the salary increase that was negotiated after the completion of the budget was about another 1%. And some of these other items, traffic calming speed limit signs that the staff brought to council, tuition reimbursement program that was approved, I believe, in the last negotiation. Some expenses going towards the Regency Rialto parking situation. And if you'll recall, the Do the Right Thing campaign, so some small expenditures there. And then lastly, the city engaged with HDL Property Tax Consulting to provide some long-term forecasting projections for our revenue projections. Then as well, one other thing as well, with the CARES Act, the city was able to move about $49,000 of public safety salaries out of the general fund. And it's being covered with CARES Act money. What that means, and in consultation with the chief, we are recommending that we move that $48,694, and along with an additional $16,306, we're recommending we move those funds over into the capital equipment replacement fund, and then totaling about $65,000, so that the police department can purchase another vehicle. They are in need of two vehicles this year. If you approve this, all that we'll be doing at this time is moving those funds over to the SURF fund. It wouldn't be giving permission to actually buy the vehicle at this time. That would come at a different point in time. So other governmental funds that are being affected, the Landscape District Maintenance and District Committee, Laura Hoffmeister met with her the Landscape Maintenance District Committee and to go over the 2021 budget, and they're making no additional recommendations to appropriate any other funds. And then with HUDA gas tax and RMRA gas taxes, we're actually, the latest projections from the state show an increase in revenues of $33,643 and $32,888 in HUDA and RMRA gas tax revenues. That's actually attachment number 7. You want to take a look at that. So we have an overage, which is great in our revenue projections. Our expenditures are actually under at this point. Going forward, we did have 2 capital improvement projects that have been complete for over a year. The Collector Street Rehab Project and the 2018 neighborhood street project, which had about 2 years ago had recorded some Caltrans and Cal Recycle grant revenues in excess of what we actually received. And that is actually attachment number 8. But all we're recommending is, since those monies, the grant monies came in essentially under what we were projecting, and we're recommending that we backfill those revenues with gas tax, HUDA gas tax money. So again, that's staff recommendation for that. At this point, I would like to turn it over to the city manager to discuss the rainy day fund in more detail. Which is
thank you. Yes, I'm working my way back to the talk about the rainy day fund. Thank you, Paul, for that report. So the rainy day fund is your general fund dollars that over the last couple of years, and the recommendation for the additional funds this year, were the result of either lower than anticipated expenditures or higher than anticipated revenues. Anytime we adopt the budget, we do it based on a projection. We say we think we're going to have this much in revenues and this much in expenses. We very rarely get it to within $1 or $2. It's actually quite a challenge. And so we always expect to have some variance. We prefer to have the variance where there are additional funds and not that we have to come back to you and say that we were either overspent on net or under revenued. So in this case, when the budget was adopted, there was a rainy day fund of $367,000 or so. We had a little bit of interest earnings. At the time the budget was adopted, there were 3 items that were intended to come out of the rainy day fund and were already approved by council. That was for election services, janitorial services, additional due to COVID-19, and a third crossing guard for the schools. So the amounts that were in the original adopted budget were a little bit different from this. These have been updated to more accurate estimates. In the case of election services, it's the actual bill we've received from the county for election services. So we now know that that's an actual number. The janitorial service, it's a significantly smaller number. We were able to cover some of those additional janitorial costs via the CARES Act. And so this is just a bit more to carry us through, particularly with respect to our maintenance facility. And then the crossing guard, we took a stab at taking about a third of the cost that we thought we might bear if we had a third crossing guard for the whole year. And we have estimated just making sure that we have sufficient funds for that at the $4,200. So with the starting balance and then the additional $16,000 in costs, then the recommendation that came through, you saw it initially with the comprehensive annual financial report, the CAFR that came last month, and now the formal recommendation to move that $290,592, which again, I'll restate, is just general fund monies. It does not come from any of the separate landscaping, district fees, et cetera. That's those are for purposes specified only in the landscape maintenance district, et cetera, except for overhead costs. So we recommend that the 290 go into the rainy day fund. And then there are the 2 expenditures that we're asking for approval to fund from the rainy day fund, which is that prior city manager contract, as well as the small amount to add to the CARES Act money to allow us to replace a second police vehicle to catch up on some delayed replacements that were made during the last recession. With all of those changes, if they are approved by the council, we would have a remaining balance of just over $500,000, and that will become a discussion point for the goal setting session and the 21-22 budget process. So in summary, just talking about the items that the finance director covered, we are asking for approval of a resolution that would support the increased appropriations of general fund operating revenues and expenditures from of 33,940, which is attachment 3. Authorize the transfer of the 290,592 into the rainy day fund, and then include those two, the two rainy day fund expenditures that are recommended as well. And then the gas tax shifts. There is, as was mentioned before, a second resolution on the salaries. Actually, I'm going to recommend that we bring that back at the next meeting. Just it wasn't fully reflected in the title of the report on the agenda, and I want to make sure, we always want to make sure, even though all of those salary numbers have been approved by the council through the underlying agreements, et cetera, that we have it properly noticed. So we're, I'm going to recommend that we'll just bring it back at the next meeting so that we have that listed appropriately on the agenda, and ask that the council consider adoption of the resolution regarding the mid-year budget report. And with that, Paul, unless I've left anything out, we would be available for questions.
Thank you, Paul and Raina. Okay, bring it back to council for questions of staff. Yes, Jim?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I have a couple of questions relative, because it looks pretty comprehensive, and I want to make sure that I know that in non-agenda items, we have some comment relative to the rainy day fund, in particular, the surplus we're enjoying. And maybe Paul could elaborate, or Raina could elaborate on the source of those funds. But I do want to, that's one question. The other questions that I have are related to, one, the landscaping, and that is to augment making sure that we are staying up to date and speed with the needs of particularly if you drive through on Marsh Street, Clayton Road, the center medians are looking a little undernourished and could use some additional assistance there. And then finally, my other question related to the additional police vehicle, which I questioned several years ago, and I gather the administration at that time, we had lost the vehicle due to a totaled affair due to a traffic collision. And I'm hoping that that's what this is, replacing that. So we're getting back up to full strength. And will that then eliminate all of our Crown Victorias and give us a full SUV staff? So those are my three areas.
For a minute, I couldn't unmute myself. I thought I was going to be like, you all were going to be like, Raina, you're on mute. No, I'm good. So 3 questions. The first is the source of revenue or source of funds for the rainy day fund recommendation, the surplus. So it's general fund dollars, and it is relative to what we anticipated when we adopted a budget. So in fiscal year 20, so not this current fiscal year, but last fiscal year, we said, okay, we think we're going to have revenues of a certain amount and expenses of a certain amount. And we get to the end of the year and we say, lo and behold, we had expenses that were less than we anticipated and revenues that were greater than we anticipated. And the difference between where we thought we'd be at the time of the budget and where we ended up is this $290,000. It is from any general fund source. So it is primarily tax dollars. That's what your general fund is made up of. And that's what that 290 is made up of. So that's the first question that you asked is what is the source
Correct.
of that 290?
Right.
So that's the first one. The second one, I will make sure that I follow up with our landscape folks, Center Median, Marsh Creek, and couldn't.
Well, no, it's the entrance to town, into town when you come off of, it's Marsh Creek, Clayton Road, and the center medians are there. And I drove by there on Sunday, and they look a little undernourished, is a kind way of saying it.
I'll write that down. I'll tell Jim that they are under.
Well, they need to be augmented in terms of replanting or whatever, adding more green, because that coming into town sets the stage for people saying, "Oh yeah, this is Clayton, and it's very nice." We had the center median is landscaped and has plenty of foliage in it, and I know that this is an interest of a number of people in town. That remains very pleasant and appealing looking, and so hopefully that's what I'm looking at. Landscaping can't be augmented.
Raina, if I can maybe just briefly respond a little bit to that. I think it'd be helpful for the public because there are some public comments that weighed in as well. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
You kind of sound like you're talking through a pillow.
Right.
Okay. Let me see if I can get closer to the microphone. I'm not quite sure what's going on here today. If that's any better.
A little.
Yes, it's
okay.
much better, Laura. Thank you.
Okay. So we are aware of the medians. The challenge we have with COVID is we are not able to bring on as many seasonal workers as we have in the past. During springtime, we would normally have 8 additional workers helping to augment our permanent staff. And we've lost one permanent staff member recently to resignation. So, you know, we're aware what we've done in maintenance is to prioritize our work to keep the pathways clear of trimming and to repair irrigation. And there's not the staff resources right now to get out and do those medians. They were planned to be done in the budget, but augmenting with our seasonal workers would be how we would do it. And we are not able to bring them on due to COVID. So that is delayed, and we're going to have to wait and see what the water district says with drought restrictions. If we end up with the drought, we may not be able to replant as we had anticipated. So they are very aware of it, and they're trying to do the best they can. The weeds.
Well, just so they keep an eye on it. That's the main.
They are. And just so the public knows, our major priority is to try to keep the pathways trimmed for the clearances, because we have so many people out walking on our pathways and walkway areas. That's been the highest priority. And we have subcontracted some of that work out because we did not have enough seasonal workers. So we have done as much outsourcing as we could possibly do legally during this period of time. So I appreciate the public's attention to it. I hope they will just understand that we have a lot of restrictions due to COVID and staffing limitations, and we're trying to make places safe for accessibility first and foremost, repair the irrigation, and then, as you recall, the council also suspended use of glyphosate for a period of time, and that has added to our weed getting out of control. So we don't have certain products that we have been able to use in the past that were more effective. So we are using substitute products.
Thank you.
And then thank you, Laura.
Yeah.
Your third question was regarding
replacing that vehicle.
Yep. And once we get those two, so our regular vehicle replacement this year, plus the additional that we're asking for, should pull out all of the Crown Vics from our force and move us forward.
A number of years ago, we lost one of those vehicles, and the administration at that time was not in favor of replace, which I didn't understand, because I raised the question. And I appreciate the fact that you're bringing us back up to the level we should be at. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from council? No? Okay, we'll open it up to Peter, you have something? Oh, okay. You're miming. Okay, so we'll open it up to public comment. And Janet, do we have anyone in the queue?
Mayor Wolf, I do not have anybody in the queue to speak on this item.
Okay, then we'll close the public comment, bring it back to council. Any more conversation? Do we have a motion?
And again, I would just request that at the time that there is a motion, that it would be on the resolution regarding the budgets.
Well, if there's no
Resolution.
discussion, I would move it. Jim Diaz moves it.
First by Diaz. Anybody second?
I would second.
Second by Juan. And Janet?
Councilmember Diaz,
And this, just to clarify, this is, the motion is for the first item in the recommendation only.
That is correct.
Thank you.
all right, so Councilmember Diaz,
Yes.
Councilmember Tillman,
Aye.
Councilmember Juan,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Cloven,
Aye.
and Mayor Wolf.
Aye.
Thank you.
Our next action item, consideration of a letter to, with oppose unless amended position regarding SB 9. And we're going to have the city manager take us through this.
Yes, you moved on my screen. I hate Zoom.
Yeah, I know. It
Sometimes
just did zip around there, didn't it?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am bringing forward this item. This is something that Cal Cities had reached out to all of its member cities regarding asking for support for a letter that has an oppose unless amended position on the proposed legislation SB 9. I will say it's very early in the legislative session, so a lot of bills are going to go through a lot of movement between now and when any of them are adopted, but this one is significant, and we felt that it was important to take a stand regarding some of the provisions of the legislation. So the legislation essentially allows for ministerial approval of 2 residential units on a lot in a currently zoned single-family residential area. Requires the local government to allow a developer to convert an existing single-family home into a duplex and then add an ADU and a junior ADU on the same parcel, essentially potentially going up to 6 units on a single parcel, and allowing for the lot split. The recommended amendments include items that would help limit the proliferation of units to 2 for a single family lot and not 6, requiring the developer to build within a year of splitting a lot so that we don't have speculative lot splits. It allows us to, would allow us to require adequate access for all public services, making sure that we receive RENA credit for any of those units that were built, et cetera. So there is a draft letter included in your packet. And if it is the desire of the council and with any changes, that letter can be sent to our local legislators and with the city's position on this item. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
If I may jump in there, as I mentioned earlier today, that I met with the city manager, and she gave me an updated letter that's been drafted for our approval tonight, and I want to thank her for that. Because it addresses a lot of cleanup items on there in our position. To that end, by the way, I know all of us have received a letter, an email from former Mayor Bill Walcott expressing his support for opposing Senate Bill 9, which I hopefully, and I look at his email, which outlines all of the things that were addressed in the letter. So a lot of this is not necessary, including the letters being addressed to our assembly member, our state senator, Karen Mitchup, our supervisor, and so on and so forth, opposing this Senate Bill 9. Further, it states, according to former Mayor Walcott, that he's looking to see if there's some way that we can garner some additional support through the Mayor's Conference, through the California cities, so on and so forth, to gain additional support on this and making sure that there's a unified, if not just by ourselves, but trying to add on to that additional opposition unless modified for less likelihood that they will lose control over this. So I just want to make sure that that gets into the record and that it doesn't get overlooked. Thank you.
And as far as I understand it, what I read, and I went and sent a message back to Bill today, that letter is to send the letter as is.
I believe so.
Yes. Okay. I just want to clarify that for the record. Anybody else want to jump in before we go to public comment? Any questions, any comments? Okay. So we'll go to public comment and then come back to council afterward. Janet, do we have anybody?
Mayor Wolf, I do not have anybody with their hand raised on this item.
Okay. All right. In that case, we'll close the public comment on this and move it back to council. I know there's a lot of discussion that we're going to have on this, I would guess. I just want everybody to know that I do have a request in for meetings, face-to-face, Zoom meetings, whatever, in-person meetings with Senator Glazer and Assembly Member Grayson. And I will be speaking with Supervisor Mitchoff as well. But I will take before I have those meetings, I want to get clarity on where we are as a council. But what I will tell you is that I had a meeting with the mayors of the surrounding cities, and as I mentioned before, and their take on this was to send this as is. They're going to encourage their councils to do so. But I'm open to hearing what you all have to say. So have at it.
I'm not opposed as it is.
Thank you. Anyone else want to jump in? No? Do we have a motion?
I just want to say,
move it.
Peter? I'm sorry, Jim.
I
Peter?
have a comment.
Peter's going to jump in there, I think.
no, I just, in my conversations, not only with local representatives, but also with representatives down in Southern California who are impacted by this, we're all very disturbed by the amount of thrust this has towards removing local control. And as we look at what we receive in Cal cities, we believe that the amendments they put are going to basically gut this to the point that it'll be withdrawn. And we're all in favor. These people I've talked to are in favor of approving this letter as they've seen it.
What you're saying then is that the opposed as amended basically guts this to
yes,
to the bone.
They're not, well, it's the people, the authors are not going to amend it to the way it's written and what the amendments we desire. So it's basically going to get tossed out. It's not going to be amended.
Jeff, you had something? Jeff, Councilmember Juan?
Yeah. Yeah, it was on the wrong way. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, it appears that, this language that's in the draft letter was adopted straight from the League or Cal Cities. And I think it's unfortunate because the League represents not only us as dues-paying members, but, it does also represent nearly every other city in the state. So that means, our interests get commingled with the interests of other cities like San Francisco and San Jose, Oakland, and LA. I think, might it be that their interests are not aligned with our own? Because, what the letter asks is to amend SB 9 to only allow by right ministerial approval of a lot split from single family to 2 units, but not additional ADUs. right? So are we saying if we send this opposed unless amended, and if you take this amendment, we're saying that we're okay with ending single family zoning? Because if all the amendments are made as suggested, it still ends single family zoning in California. And I'm not okay with that. So I don't know why we would say that unless you all are in favor of ending single family zoning. The letter asks that building permits be acquired within 1 year, but that doesn't change any of the underlying fundamental problems. It doesn't address what happens if a building permit isn't acquired. So you can do a lot split, you don't have a building permit within a year, and then does the lot split become void? I don't know. I don't know what the purpose of that is. They say that it's to discourage speculators, but once you own the land, I mean, if it's ministerial approval, you don't acquire a building permit, and within 1 year, okay, then you just go and do the split again because there's no way to stop that anyway. So I don't really see how that accomplishes anything. I mean, it appears as many of the other amendments that are being sought, they're essentially directly opposed to what's contained in the bill. So the bill says, hey, we want to do X, and it says, hey, please amend it to say not X. And I don't know what the purpose is in signaling that we're okay with the ultimate underlying goal, which is ending single-family zoning. I mean, yes, it is a seizure of local control, but it's more than that because the state wants to seize local control over everything. But what it's really trying to do is end single-family zoning. So I do ask my colleagues, what is the purpose of signaling that we are okay with this goal by using this oppose unless amended language? If we are opposed to it and we think that these are poison pill amendments, why not just say that we're opposed? Like, you don't negotiate with someone who wants to do something that is completely antithetical to what you want. Like, if someone wants to kill you, you don't say, hey, can we negotiate and you just kill me a little bit. You just say no. So I think that the language is too soft.
Anyone else want to jump in?
Was that to me?
No, I said, anybody else want to jump in?
So at the end of the day, don't we have to come up with our own housing element that we have to approve as a council that's compliant, that we have to be compliant with? And I think that we're going to have to revisit how some of the parcels in town are zoned anyway. So to me, sending this letter as is letting them know, we know that we're going to have to comply with the RENA numbers, whatever the final ones end up being. We're going to have to figure out where some housing is going to go in our town. But what we don't want to do is allow them to have these additional units, right? So taking a single family lot and plopping down 6 homes in it, we're not going that far. So I think that we have several steps that we can take to be sure that we are zoning the way that we need to for our own city, but also showing that we're also flexible, realizing that we do have a housing crisis and we're going to do at least what we can do within our small town that we have without us saying flat out, no, we're not going to do any of it. That's how I read it.
Yeah, I don't think it's saying that we're not going to do anything. I think it's saying that if we just say oppose, we're saying we're not okay with ending single-family zoning. I mean, that's how I would read it. If you are okay with ending single-family zoning, then oppose unless amended is consistent with that. So I guess that's a question. Are you okay with ending single-family zoning?
I am not.
I don't think
that's what oppose unless amended says.
I don't think any of us are.
Why would you?
I'm sorry.
Okay, that's great. Perfect. So read the amendment. The amendment that we are asking for is allow ministerial lot splits, but just don't allow additional ADUs on top of it. So that's ministerial lot splits is no more single family zoning. We're saying please amend it to say that. That's what you're saying. If you go with this language, oppose unless amended, it's like, yeah, we don't like it, but we'll take what we can get, and yeah, single-family zoning is gone. I mean, Berkeley voted for it already. Other states have done it. Minnesota and parts of Oregon, they've already done it. But that doesn't mean that we have to acquiesce and say, yeah, this is the best we can get. I mean, if we don't like that, if you are truly opposed to ending single-family zoning, then you wouldn't say oppose unless amended.
The conversations.
Sorry, go ahead, Peter.
No, the conversations that I had, Jeff, and they were specific around this very item which you're talking about, which is the amendments which were in this letter enough to be a poison pill for this bill? And my conversations with other council members is very clear. This is a poison pill. It will not be amended with these amendments. So I'm good with the letter and going along with the recommendations of Cal Cities. So I understand what you're saying, but I just don't think it's necessary to just put a flat out no out there when we have a letter that is basically a poison pill.
What's the purpose of a poison pill other than to say that we try, it's to be able to save face and say, yeah, we tried to work with you, but hey, can you amend this to say that, some terrible thing? Why not just be upfront? Like, say what you mean. Say what you mean.
We've been asked, Jeff, on numerous occasions by our fellow constituents to work with cities around us. And this is a collaborative of multiple cities. And as you just heard from Mayor Wolf, he's talked to the mayors of adjoining cities in Central Coastal County, and they also concur this is a good place to go. We are working with our fellow cities. I get your anathema towards, wanting a desire to say absolute no to this, but this is working with our fellow cities and kills it essentially with the amendments. That's I'm for working with our neighboring cities through Cal Cities at this point.
The last part of this.
Yeah, I don't think that this is a letter put out by Cal Cities. Cal Cities who represents all the cities. But, I don't think that the letter itself is any guarantee that it will be, scuttled, let's say, because maybe they won't take the amendments. If they take the amendment, obviously they wouldn't take the amendments. They're either going to move forward as is in some fashion or not. But I doubt that they're going to go halfway and meet some compromise or whatever as per the requested amendments. I mean, if you look last session, they had the votes to do this already. They ran out of time because of, politics, basically. They had a politician with a baby on the floor, at midnight trying to hit the deadline with a newborn or something like that, and they just ran out of time. But they have the votes to do this anyways. It's not like Cal Cities comes out against it and then it's going to die. They have a supermajority in both houses. So I don't know what is the virtue in this type of measured thing when if you are clearly saying, which you did, that you are against ending single-family zoning, why would you send a letter that says something opposite?
Because quite frankly, Jeff, we're stronger in numbers than Clayton's single no. That's just the way I look at it. The more numbers we have sending us to our representatives saying this is it with a poison pill is that much stronger than Clayton's single no. That's my take on it.
Yeah, no, and I can accept that we have a difference. I think that for me, I think it's important to stand on principle.
I appreciate that.
I just, when it comes to standing on principle, my problem here is let's take the last part of this letter. And the city of Clayton is committed to being a part of the solution to the housing shortfall across all income levels, and will continue to work collaboratively with you to spur much needed housing construction. I think that we are, and I agree with Peter, I think that we need to work with our surrounding cities. I had a meeting with the mayors. They believe that it's the right way to go. And that singling us out in Lilliput here in Clayton, I mean, the smallest city in the county, as becoming magnified by the state. Every time we come in, they're going to say Clayton says no to it. I don't want to telegraph that every single time that we come in somewhere. I think this is an approach where we can say no and be with our fellow cities. And we know, if going by your logic, that if they have the votes, they're going to vote the way that they vote. This is our Hail Mary. If we come in and say no, what's the point of that? I mean, standing on principle, I think
That's the point.
standing with our fellow cities is standing on principle. We're saying, hey, we all are yelling, we are here, rather than just us with our little voice. Anyone else? Okay. Do we have any motion?
I gave you a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. You did. Yes, you did. It was a long time ago, Jim. I'm sorry. It's late. So, Jim,
letter is written, Jim?
I'm here.
No, was that to approve the letter as written?
Yes.
I second the motion.
Okay, Janet. I have a first by Diaz, a second by Cloven.
Councilmember Diaz,
Yes.
Councilmember Tillman,
Yes.
Councilmember Juan,
No.
Vice Mayor Cloven,
Aye.
and Mayor Wolf.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. So moved. All right. And now moving on to our final action item of the day. Set a date for the council special meeting goal setting session. Raina, this is yours.
It is. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. This item is before you to request that the council set a special meeting date of March 22nd at 4 p.m. for a goal setting session. This is typically a more or less annual event for the council and city manager. We need to set, I'm requesting that we set a special meeting for it. And also we will be using the services of a facilitator, and the proposal from the facilitator is included as part of your packet as well. That I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Well, I have a quick question. I know it's $5,000, and what they're doing for that money, I understand the whole facilitating thing, but given the fact that we rotate mayors and everything, we're looking at a multi-year setup here. Is that it? We're looking for more than just goal setting like we normally do for the 1 year period, which is now 9 months. We're looking at 21 and 22 during this process.
So the typical process has been done on a calendar year basis in the past. My recommendation is that we take this opportunity to move it to more of a fiscal year basis, and this would set us up with the council providing priorities that we would bring into the fiscal 21-22 budget. And so the goals would be, set essentially in time for us to develop the budget and then be in place for the fiscal year. And so it rather than coming in February and adopting goals that are already a month behind, it's coming in this case, in March, and looking to adopt goals that are then in place in advance of the following fiscal year, which is when they would be primarily tackled. So it's shifting it from a calendar year basis to a fiscal year basis.
Okay. And you feel comfortable with this group as a facilitator, based on the fact that you're new and we have a couple of new members I saw on this. I'd like to know what the council feels with regard to having a facilitator do this.
I've never taken part of one, so I'm not sure how the flow goes in a regular meeting. So maybe the three of you, Mayor, Councilmember Juan, and Councilmember Diaz, can let us know what the usual process is. I didn't see a video online to watch from the last ones. I think that's because you were in person.
No, it wasn't recorded, and
right. Yeah.
We did not have a facilitator in the last two goal setting that I have participated in. The city manager has led the effort.
Okay.
That's what happened, and no recording of it, because it's essentially it's close to being a closed session, quite honestly. But I will take that partially back. the meeting that we had with the short-term city manager that we did have, we did invite the public in, and they participated to a very limited degree, very limited.
Isn't the public always
Well,
invited?
Maybe I could just clarify.
What?
Maybe I could just clarify for all of you. It is a public meeting. It's publicly noticed. It's agendized, and the public can participate. I think in the past, when we, obviously could meet in person, it was done at City Hall in a more smaller, more intimate setting, and obviously the public could attend, but it was more of a workshop, and so it wasn't recorded, and it had a more maybe casual type of flow, but it is a public meeting where the public will be able to attend and participate.
Okay, and so the reason why it would be recorded this time is obviously because we can't meet in person and we need to do it via Zoom, and it's a public meeting, so they need to be able to participate. Is that accurate?
There's no requirement to record it, but we would, we would need to, I would presume we'd still do it by Zoom in order to allow for public participation, since we're not meeting in person.
Thank you.
And if I can just add something, Mayor?
Yes, Laura.
Since I've done these, observed them in the two fashions that we've done, I think this particular go around, at least to start, it might be very beneficial to have a facilitator, being that they'll be able to take the notes. It's very difficult. I know when our short-term city manager was here, trying to take notes on a laptop and record the comments from the council and actually have dialogue or conversation with the council about what they're asking about. It's very difficult to try to task all of that at one time, especially somebody coming new into the organization. I think it might be helpful to have a facilitator, at least for this time around, to be able to help, write down the notes of what's being said and kind of form the meeting and move it along, so that it's not all falling on the city manager's shoulders to try to do that and have the dialogue with the council at the same time.
Holly, do you have more questions?
Yes, I do. Can you, this is to Raina, can you give a little bit more? I know you had this detailed packet in here about the facilitator, but can you explain to all of us exactly what the facilitator plans to do during the 2 hours that we have? Because I know we have a limited, it's only 2 hours by kind of link. What is this goes to my original question. What does that meeting look like normally? What has happened? And are they only 2 hours in the past?
So I typically, I think that here in Clayton, they have been approximately a 2-hour meeting, just looking back at some of the records that Gary Napper had when he was here, and looking at the materials that were produced. And I'm not sure exactly how he ran those. I do know that in 2020, with the prior city manager, I believe that goals were solicited in advance and then compiled and I don't want to say voted on, but sort of agreed on, and certain items kind of came to the top of that list and were reported out in the minutes from that meeting, and have been captured and so they're on my radar screen as having been identified last year. In terms of this year, part of what the facilitator will be doing, first of all, he and I have been working on designing what we think will be an effective 2-hour session, because it is very limited. In other cities I've done it, I've usually done more like a 4-hour session, frankly. I think that can be very effective, but wanted to start with something that just got us in, got us rolling, and really started that conversation about priority setting. This is not the beginning and end of a conversation, it's really the beginning of a conversation. So he and I have been working on putting together kind of a plan for the meeting. He will also, if we move forward this way, be scheduling a 30-minute call with each of the council members in advance to introduce himself, as well as gather some information prior to. And I will also be providing the council with a summary as part of the packet of just a reminder of what were the goals from the 2020 session, what the council requests have been from the end of council meetings, as well as the staff recommendations on potential project needs for the rainy day fund. During the meeting itself, we will, I think, be looking at trying to come up with kind of the top items that cut across all of those categories that I already mentioned and any others that haven't already been raised, and then trying to winnow that list down so that it is a kind of a not enormous list of goals, right? Because we can't achieve everything all at once. So what are really the highest priority items? And working to get some consensus across the group about what those items would be. And so that's really the focus of the bulk of the 2 hours, is how do we work through all of the things that are on our plate and say, these are the top items that the council wants to have brought into the budget process and to be the higher focus items for the coming budget year.
Okay, and then my last question is, do we have, I might have missed it, but do we have anywhere how we are looking towards the goals against the goals that they set for last year? Have we accomplished all of those?
We have not accomplished all of those. When I put the packet together for the 22nd, it will have an update on where the status of each of those.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and I want to say, I appreciate the fact that you're going to whittle those down, because I thought that last session was sort of unwielding, but and we had too many goals that obviously many of those items were not accomplished. Just to give you the physical layout of how those most recent goal setting sessions took place. The first one was in the third floor conference room.
Yep.
Public meeting, but nobody showed up, just the council and the staff. The last one that was held was at Hoyer Hall, again, which I would prefer if we could do it, because I think we could socially distance without creating an issue, because I don't believe that there would be that much external participation in this like we had the last time. We only had maybe 2 or 3 people that came and spoke, and they had their own agenda, but that was the last time we got together. And it seems to me that it could be facilitated over at Hoyer Hall. That way, in my view, my humble opinion, we could do it a lot more easily and more focused if we were together there in the room together at the time, as opposed to this Zoom function.
Clean that up. Yeah, Holly.
Sorry to throw a wrench in that plan, but given my compromised immune system with having my kidney transplant and not wanting the public, I don't want to limit the public. So let's start there. And so my concern would be there would be people who would want to listen in and trying to balance my health concerns versus allowing the public to participate. I would prefer that we do it this year via Zoom so that we can accommodate both of those, at least until I'm fully vaccinated. So that'd be my only plug for that.
Well, it seems like a rather modern approach that they have here. I mean, the way that they take the old mindset and the new mindset and, you know, that kind of thing. It's a lot of corporate speak too. I've been through this kind of stuff before in the corporate world. You know, I'm fine with having a facilitator. Where's the money coming from?
It will be essentially cobbled together from within the existing budget.
Jeff, you had something?
Little snips here and there for things.
A little snip, a little here. Yeah, yes, Jeff. No?
Yeah, I mean, I think the comment regarding, corporate function is well taken. I mean, in business, you often employ facilitators or consultants to essentially deliver the message that you want to deliver, and it comes from someone else's mouth, so that it lends more weight to it. I don't really put a lot of faith in or stock in consultants for this type of work. If there is a particular expertise, then that could have value, but in this regard, I mean, $5,000 is not a insurmountable amount of money. However, I would say as stewards of the public funds, I'm not sure that the value is there for that. We seem to have gotten by without having this service in the past, and I think that we can do so again in the future. I would say, crafting a plan for goal setting and then executing on it at a session is perfectly within our skill set to do. So, usually in the past, how you had asked about how we did in the past, it took different flavors, as Jim mentioned, but I do think that, having folks come to the table with a little bit of homework performed and advancing a few items that they found important, and then, stack ranking them goes pretty quickly. And from there, you can whittle down based on what the consensus view is on prioritization. I would say, I don't think as a steward of the public funds that I would be supportive of spending the taxpayers' dollars to have someone help us take notes.
Mayor Wolf?
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to remind the council that the agenda item is listed for setting the date for the meeting, as opposed to whether the council would like to use a facilitator. I think the facilitator was just brought in as an FYI into the agenda item, since it's under the city manager's budgetary authority. So I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, ultimately, I think it's underneath the dollar threshold that the city manager can execute on her own. So that's at her discretion, which, we've approved collectively. But, that being said, not a fan.
And
do what you want.
Molly, you couldn't brought this up 15 minutes ago.
I just wanted, I always allow you all a little leeway.
It's okay, you're right.
Why don't we set the date? Why don't we set the date?
Let's set the date. Shall we?
Sorry for asking all those questions.
Do we need to go to public comment on this?
Yes, please.
Yes. Public comment. Janet, do we have anybody who wants to speak to this? And hopefully people will come to the meeting. I mean, that's important, but nevertheless, Janet?
Mayor Wolf, I do have one hand raised from Dee Vieira. So Dee, I will go ahead and promote you to panelist if you can please unmute.
Hello.
Hello.
I just wanted to say I was at that last goal setting meeting, and how I heard about it was actually from you, Mayor Wolf, on a Facebook page. You were saying something about goal setting, and so that was the first I'd ever heard of it. So yeah, that was where I first heard it, was on a Facebook post, and I did attend it along with a lady named Connie Horton that I had just met that morning. But I thought it went fairly well. It was interesting. I'd never participated in a goal setting meeting, and I thought it went pretty well. It was interesting to listen to, and the public did have an opportunity to speak for 3 minutes on whatever they wanted to speak at. So I'm not opposed to it being online. I think you'll get more participation in it. But anyway, I just wanted to say I was there, and I thought it was done well for my first experience. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else, Janet?
Mayor Wolf, I do not have anybody else with their hand raised at this time.
Okay, so we'll close the public comment, bring it back to a council to set a date. And the proposed date is the 22nd at 4 o'clock.
Yes, please.
Anybody want to make a motion that we set that date? So moved by
I'll
Peter
move it.
Colvin. Is second by Juan. And Janet, please call the vote.
Sure. Councilmember Diaz,
Yes, thank goodness.
Councilmember Kelman,
Yes, sorry again for prolonging it.
Councilmember Juan,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Cloven,
Yes.
and Mayor Wolf.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so moved. So,
Thank you.
all right, we're moving on now. Council items, limited council requests for directives for future meetings. Jim.
Yo.
Yes, Councilmember Diaz.
Diaz tonight to be speaking. Okay, I would like to request an agenda item for a future meeting.
Yes, sir.
And with all due respect to all the citizens that have persistently participated in our prior council meetings, and for those that have made multiple phone calls to me and sent me emails, I think it's time that we as the city council openly discuss and answer questions and determine what the future should be of the cannabis cultivation in your open space and behind your house. I want to make it very clear, I am not for or against this issue or question, but feel it's important that we do have a discussion and let the community address us and give us their thoughts as a group. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Looking around. Yes, sir. Jeff.
Yeah, I just reiterate the comment that I made at the beginning of the meeting regarding just if maybe at the next meeting we could have the community development director kind of elucidate the process that is going on with the church proposal, just by way of information, not really a discussion, just to share what people can expect. I think people got a notice recently, either today or sometime in the past couple of days, and there's a required notice for surrounding areas, and that probably raised some questions. So if we could have a very brief bullet points on what is going to happen or what may happen going forward, I think that'd be helpful for people to read.
Thank you. Anyone else? Going once, going twice. Okay. So we have no closed session, and looks like we are now adjourned until our next meeting on March 16th. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
Good night.